Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to give you 5 facts about siblings. I'm Rita and today it's all about you. The relationships you maintain or that you create or that you have during your life, they are always different and unique. The relationship between parents and children are always a very special one and very different from the rest of the relationships. The relationship you can create with your friends, with the rest of your family, or even with some people that they just appear in your life and that it just turn into the most close to you, has a romantic relationship, for instance. They all are totally different from a relationship between siblings. This is very unique and it's very different from the rest of all the relationships. People who doesn't have siblings, they can never replicate this kind of relationship. All other relationships, they can be possible during your lifetime. You can create them, you can have them, but this is the only kind of relationship that it's so unique because you cannot it doesn't depend on you, so you cannot really have a sibling just because you want, or you don't are able to have exactly the same feelings toward another person that two siblings have. Siblings usually they challenge each other, especially in a cognitive way. Usually the youngest sibling copied the oldest, and the oldest usually feel a little bit more responsible, or that he needs to teach other things to their young sibling. The youngest are always a little bit more independent, and the oldest are a little bit more responsible. This happens because the parents usually tend to have a pressure or make a pressure to the oldest son in order for him to take care of the youngest. But all these behaviors in siblings and all the things that siblings can have, all the relationships, always start with the way the parents treat them and the way the parents treat each other. In a social way, a sibling relationship is the first social experience ever of a child. Usual siblings, they grow up with a much better skill related to the social life, which can eventually help having a better social encounters and social relationships in the future. A sibling relationship can eventually compensate a lack of affection from the parents. When parents have conflicts in their relationships, a sibling relationship not just help the kids or the children go through these difficult times, but also make their relationship much more stronger, much more close and much more deeper. When a family goes through a divorce, or when there is parental abuse, usually the sibling support is very important, not just for this phase, but even for the future self of each children. Fights, disagreements and jealousy are very common during the childhood of siblings, and usually this happens until the individual personality of each sibling is totally formed. These kind of fights and these kind of disagreements are really much more common between siblings that are the same gender. than the siblings that are from different genders. In this last case, siblings have much less disagreements and much less fights. And in general, the fight that it's much more common is the fight for property. On the other way, jealousies is something that can be with the individuals until the rest of their lives, and they can really grow apart and be responsible for a distancing between siblings. The most common cause of this kind of jealousy is parents' favoritism. Even the parents doesn't really understand or doesn't really think that they are having a favorite kid. Of course, every parent has their own favorite children. This is very normal, even it's very controversial. On the other way, studies show that a child being ignored and have feelings about not being favorite may damage terribly their own self-esteem and their own confidence. Study shows that the order of born of each sibling kind of makes some certain particular characteristics of each individual. For instance, oldest child usually are a little bit more rigid, perfectionist and down to earth, and the youngest child usually is a little bit more independent and even more relaxed, particularly in the relationship with the parents. Of course, this usually is explained because of the demanding that the parents do to the different child. So usually the oldest child are a little bit more demanding to be responsible, or they have to help with the youngest. And this, of course, turn the child, make them have a different attitude and have a different relationship with their parents and of course with their siblings. So, and this is why it's very common to see the same couple of parents have several children, and each children has totally different ways of related with each other and with them. And this means that even the parents have the same style of educate, they have different experiences with each sibling. The first sibling is always the one that parents doesn't have experience. They are trying and they are adjusting the things they believe it's the right thing to do, and then they will apply to the next child, and then they will adjust again. So every education in each person, even with several siblings from the same parents, they all have different kind of education and they all have different kind of experience from their parents. In the 9th century, people believe that there was a syndrome that called the only child syndrome, and the only child individuals were seen as people that were not very mentally organized, and they should have some kind of trauma or traumatic experiences, and they were not valuable. In this case, this is not real, and we really know in our days we know that this is not the case at all, and we know that these relationships that siblings have, even if during the childhood they are not so positive, they always have special feelings involved, and they always are something that it's very unique and very different from the rest of the relationships that a person can have during the lifetime. So that's all for today, guys. I hope you like it. I hope you subscribe the channel, leave a thumbs up, comment if you want, and next time we will be talking about 5 facts about being an only child. So I'll see you then. Bye.